5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everyone, and welcome to tonight's A Better Life episode. Tonight's topic is part 2 of Getting What We Deserve. So if you missed last week's topic of part 1, Getting What We Deserve, then once this is over, you can go back and check out the archives from the show. So after getting emails, messages, and having some conversations with some friends of mine about last week's episode, I kind of felt like maybe I left some things on the table. Maybe I left some things that were unsaid that would be beneficial to this audience to hear. So last week we talked about our mentality, and the mentality that we slip into this mentality that somehow the things that are happening to us in life are because of our past coming back to overtake our present and our future, and thus we're getting what we deserve because of the mistakes that we've made in our past. That what we lack in love, what we lack in relationships, what we lack in career, what we lack in finances is a direct indication that we've done some wrong, and that we're getting what we deserve out of life because of the wrong that we've done. But hopefully you left last week reassured and recharged and refreshed in knowing that God's grace is sufficient to cover any mistakes that you made in your past, and that what you deserve, God has already allowed through His grace and mercy. And so that you just have to trust God enough to keep living in expectation that the celebrations, the successes that He has uniquely designated for you are on the way, and they'll come to pass. So tonight I wanted to just take one step back to the items that we discussed last week and really touch on a topic that was really that I kind of just floated over, which was the importance of us maintaining a mentality that is positive and one that aligns with the belief system that we have, knowing that our lives are a reflection of what we believe about ourselves, that what we allow, what we accept as truth, we also subconsciously execute in our lives. And that's important because you can state all of the positive mantras that you want to. You can declare and decree every good thing that you want into your life, but until you are blue in the face. But if you don't believe that what you're talking about, what you're chanting, what you're decreeing, what you're declaring about yourself is the truth, you will continue to act out in defiance of your declarations. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. You declare and decree every day that the favor of God rests upon your life, that doors of opportunity are opening up for you to increase. You know every scripture, you know every text to confirm that belief system, but the first time you get a no in your life, you can't handle it. And so you go into that one single disappointment causes a perpetual state of discouragement in your life. And then you start rationalizing that no, saying, well, this is what I deserved, and this is the end all of that for me. I'm just going to quit and start working on something else. When if you believed all that you were saying about favor resting upon your life, that no would in no way be the blow of final defeat to you. You would look at that no as being encouragement that there is something greater on the other side of that no for you. Or another example is when opportunity knocks, and let's just say in this instance, it's not a no, you got a yes this time. And you come up with all kinds of excuses and reasons as to why the timing isn't right. The confident words that came out of your mouth before that opportunity knock, now they fall flat on the ground when it's time to take action in your life. I don't have anything to wear. I don't know what to say. I'm not ready for this conversation. My hair doesn't look right. But if you truly believe the positive words that you were saying every day, and they became the prevailing, overwhelming thoughts that you have towards yourself, you would expect new opportunity every day. And when opportunity came knocking, you would know that everything that you need to fulfill and to seize that moment and create successes, you already have. So if you're tweeting, if you're instant messaging, if you're emailing, and if you're texting, I always win. I always win. But the way you see yourself cannot become an inhibitor to you receiving those victories that you're declaring that you should have in your life. Here's what I want you to understand. Your positive thoughts cannot be an act of pretending. It's time out for faking it until you make it. The positive thought process is about you removing the thoughts that are filled with doubt, and instead having thoughts that are filled with anticipation, with expectation that what you view as not good enough the way you see yourself as undeserving, that God sees it as more than enough and that you are deserving. Jeremiah 29:11 speaks of the plans that God has for us, plans that are to prosper us and to give us the life that we hope for. We have to understand that God's plan is always broader, it's always more expansive than our plans, but we can't experience that if we can't believe that we're good enough, or if we continue to believe that we don't deserve what he has in store for us. And this is deeper than doing what's popular and shouting, girl, please, I know I deserve everything God has in store for me. This is really about getting beyond that lip service of, yeah, we shouting and praise breaking every Sunday. This is about a true deep-seated belief that you believe that everything that God has in store for you, there is nothing that can stop you from attaining that. This is about no matter what happens, no matter how big the disappointment is, that your confidence in God's ability to bring to pass everything that you want in your life is never ever shaken. It is about no matter what leap of faith you have to take forward, you can take that step knowing that outside of your comfort zone, there are greater things that are going to come to pass in your life. When we look at the life of Moses in the scripture, we know that Moses was a man that loved God. But the way that he thought about himself almost became an inhibitor to God fulfilling the plan that he had for him. It caused him to go back and forth with God, even almost to the point of arguing with God about whether or not he could do what God had intended for him to do for the people of Israel. His excuse was, I'm not good with words. Moses had what we would term today as a disability. He had a speech impediment. He stuttered. But when he finally decided that he could move forward with as great a belief in himself as God had in him, God gave Moses all the power that he needed to not only become a great leader, but he was also a powerful orator. So you may not be a stutterer, but what is your I'm not good enough moment? Is it that you can't help others because you've done so many things in your past that you're afraid that somebody might use your past against you and cause you to fail in that? Or is it that you've made so many mistakes, you've had some mishaps along the way in relationships, and your thoughts towards yourself is, I'm independent, I don't need a man. Or, I gave all I had to this woman and she just completely destroyed and did me wrong. I'm cool if I'm single. I'm alright. I'm going to stay right. See, you can't say out of one breath, I'm independent, I don't need a man, and then out of the next breath, Lord, please, I'm believing you for you to send me my husband. Your thoughts and your belief, your words, they're not lining up with one another. So, what happens in this situation is now when Mr. Right or Mrs. Right is staring you right in the face, you can't even see that because you have so much doubt in your mind as to whether or not you can open up your heart to give and receive love in the way that is required in a relationship. Do you use words like never and always in a negative way? Let me get to what I'm talking about in here. So you see something like a picture of the Bahamas or Jamaica and you're like, oh, that's so beautiful, but I ain't gonna never get to go nowhere like that. Or I'll be like, this right here is like, this always happens to me. Nothing ever goes good in my life. Or you're like, I never ever get what I want. It's in those moments that your words are indicative that all of this positive thinking, these positive thoughts, this decreeing and declaring that you're doing, you don't really believe it. You're just saying it. So how do you start to believe that? How do you take the words that you're saying, translate them into thoughts that you believe towards yourself, so that when you're faced with disappointments in life, when you're faced with adversity, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is not something negative, but it is instead something that aligns with the positive thoughts that you have towards yourself. Number one, know that your words will become your thoughts. So if you speak more about what isn't happening, you speak more about what doesn't happen in your life, then you use words to affirm your positive thoughts, then you will come out in times of disappointment is what will come out of you in times of disappointment is what you have spoken the most about. So as an example, you're a person that says, oh, I hate my job. I don't want to go up here today. I'm just so tired of working. While there's people out there hoping and praying and believing after they done sent 1,000 resumes in to get a job, you choose to be ungrateful in your words about your job. You're secure in it because you know that you're good at what you do and that nothing's going to happen, but every day you're begrudging that job. So then what happens? Somewhere along the way you miss a deadline or you send something off to the wrong place, and then you're sitting there thinking, who my boss gonna fire me today because I just messed up. Instead, if you were a person who spoke positively about that job, what would come out of you in that moment is that my boss knows that I'm a good employee. My boss knows that I don't miss deadlines. So we can have a conversation about the competing priorities that I had, and he's going to give me the benefit of the doubt and know that I didn't miss this deadline on purpose, but we can have a conversation that draws solutions towards me expeditiously handling this matter so that the deadline is not too far gone once I get it done. Number 2, you have to stop letting other people's negative attitudes towards you affect you. Stop hanging around people with nothing but naysaying and negative to say. You know the people that I'm referring to. It's the ones that constantly remind you of your past as if you have no chance of a future. It goes a little something like this. You let the best thing that ever happened to you get away in 1984. You'll be hard pressed to ever find anybody that love you the way that person did. So stop letting people who drain you of your positivity, and stop participating in negative conversations with people who have chosen to remain bitter, who have chosen to remain where they are and are not expecting anything different to happen in their life. People who are more inclined to affirm negativity than to encourage the positivity in your life are not the kind of people that you need to be around when you're trying to change the way that you think about yourself. Number 3, don't discredit your progress. You're going to have some moments where you slip back into that moment of negativity, that moment where you say something that doesn't align with what the thoughts that you've been feeding to yourself about yourself, and that's okay. It's going to happen. The key is that you don't remain there. You can slip, if you slip back into that, just know that what makes you different is that you're coming out of that and you're not just going to remain stuck there. And number 4 is pray. You got to realize that you can't do it all on your own, and you need God to help you on the rest of the way. So you have to know that if you commit to do what you can, that God will do the rest. And that sounds cliche, I know it. But it's a proven principle. His strength is perfect in our times of weakness. And like I told you last week, you have to believe that God's grace is sufficient. His grace is sufficient in our time of need. And what's great about the word sufficient is that when sufficiency comes in, it adjusts based on whatever your need is in order to meet the qualifications of being sufficient. And these simple steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4, will help you to get to the place where your thoughts align with your beliefs, and that those beliefs ultimately determine how you react and how you respond and what comes out of your mouth when you're faced with adverse, discouraging, or disappointing situations. One of my favorite stories as I was growing up was the story of the chicken and the eagle. And this is a story about a farmer who found a baby eagle while he was out plowing his fields on the farm one day. So he takes that eagle and he takes it back to live in the same coop with the chickens. And so this eagle grows, it lives, it develops, it acts, it eats like a chicken. And while it's there, the chickens embrace the eagle. They make him a part of their group. And so the eagle loves the chickens and the chickens love the eagle. The eagle becomes a barnyard scavenger, and he eats like the chickens, never knowing that unlike the chickens, his wings were created to fly high and his claws were created for him to be able to eat the best of things and to grab its prey and eat it. So one day the eagle is in the chicken coop and he looks up at the sky and he notices that there's this group of birds that look like him that are flying up above the earth, and he marvels at their strength. He marvels at their wingspan. He marvels at their elegance. He's dumbfounded by their beauty. And the other chickens notice that this eagle is standing in the middle of the chicken coop just looking up, admiring all the birds that are flying above him, and they start to mock him and laugh at him and tease him and say, what are you doing? Like, you ain't gonna ever be like them. Like, you can't fly. You one of us. You a chicken. You destined to be down here on the ground with us, pecking and hecking at the ground. And so the farmer hears the noise that's coming out of the coop, so he comes over to see what's going on. And the baby eagle is looking at the farmer just to give him a little bit of reassurance and confirm to him that he too can fly like these people that he sees up in the sky that look like him. And the farmer looks at him and says, yeah, you got bigger wings and that's fine and all, but that don't make you special. Yeah, you got a bigger mouth and that's great, but that don't make you no special than these chickens that walk around. Let me tell you something. Your life is right here on this farm. You have never been anything different than a chicken. You ain't never seen anything different than these chickens have seen. You ain't gonna never be nothing different than a chicken. I don't know what you looking up there in that sky for, dreaming and wondering and hoping about what you can be one day, but you might as well get that out of your head. Look here, I found you in my fields one day. I rescued you. I brought you here to live with these chickens. This is the life that you deserve. So you can stop looking around, dreaming and hoping. So as the eagle, he's still dreaming, he's still looking, he sees something different and he wants that something different. And so one of the eagles that's flying above sees him looking up and flies down to the side of the coop, and he lands on the edge of the fence and he says, hey, you, come here. Come on over here, let me talk to you. And he says, what are you doing down here? This is not the purpose for your life. You are an eagle. Your wings were designed to fly. Why are you down here on the ground with these chickens? You deserve to feel the air carrying you across the sky to places that you never dreamed of, places that you never imagined. You deserve to eat the best. You deserve a nest that sits high above the ground. You deserve the protection that we enjoy in our life as eagles. So the older eagle says to the younger eagle, come join us so I can show you the life that you deserve, the life that you were created to live. And the younger eagle, he thinks about it for a moment and then he just declines the offer and says, nah, that's okay. These chickens, they're my life. The farmer's been alright to live with. And being a chicken, it's really all I know. I didn't start out in life knowing that I was an eagle. So this life as a chicken, this is what I deserve and I'm okay living it. And so the older eagle flies off, leaving the younger eagle to stay there, proclaiming his destiny is to always be a chicken when clearly he's not a chicken. So today what I want you to do is I want you to consider me to be that eagle that comes and sits down on the fence of your life to have a conversation with you about what's been going on in your own life. You have one decision to make, but you have two very clear choices that you have to choose from in making that decision. You can continue down this path of inadequacy. You can continue down this path of lack of action. You can continue down this path of these thoughts that bombard your mind telling you that you're not good enough. And you can waste time as you delay the progress of the plan and the purpose that God has for you in your life and the victories that await you on the other side of you being obedient and lining up with the will that he has for your life and lining your thoughts up with the beliefs that he has towards you and seeing yourself the way that God sees you. Or you can move forward with confidence, trusting, knowing that the plans that God has for you, he outlined them before anyone even knew that you were going to be born. The story of your life was written, and it's a story that is created with successes and triumphs that you've yet to know. Perhaps you've rejected the story that God had planned for you because your thoughts are, I'm not good enough, or your thoughts are, I don't deserve this, or you've had those moments when you looked around and said, there's nothing better out there for me. You allowed condemnation, that same condemnation that we talked about last week, to occupy the space in your mind and control your thoughts. That's okay. But today is a new day. Today is the day, and today is the moment that I'm saying to you, you can turn all of that around and you can embrace the goodness that God has for you and move towards God and the thoughts and the plans and the actions that he has for your life. Today is the day that you raise your expectations. Today is the day that you open up your thoughts and your mind with anticipation. Today is the day that you watch God bring everything that you desire, everything that you wanted, everything that you deserve, that he knows that he has planned for you to fruition and realization. I'm out of time for tonight, but I really do thank you for joining me. I just want you to remember that no matter what you go through, no matter what challenges we face in life, God's plan for us is that we live a better life. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope that you'll join me next week, and I hope that you'll log on to our website, because we have some information there about a project that we've been working on for a little bit of time for a great deal of time over the summer months, that we need your assistance with, and I hope that you'll join us. Thanks again for joining tonight. Remember this: everything that you want in life, God has already planned that you deserve it. Have a good night. Don't forget to order your Stay Ready t-shirts. Your purchases and gifts support the outreach efforts of New Era Works Foundation. I want to hear from you, so email me at KamishaEvans@gmail.com or message me on KamishaEvans.ning.com or Facebook. Every month we'll open up the mailbag and confidentially, without mentioning your name, discuss the items that you send to me that are important to you. As always, you can continue the conversation at KamishaEvans.ning.com. We'll post the archives from the show, and I've included some additional information for you there. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next week.